Hello there. Welcome back to Dragon's Den Classics. I'm Russ, and I'm here with Ana, starting the episode off with a wrap-up of our last episode, which included chapters 11 and 12 of Agatha Christie's The Seven Dials Mystery.
Chapter 11, Dinner with Bill, finds Bundle meeting with Bill Eversley to get information. Bill initially rambles about an actress, but Bundle pushes him to reveal the guest list for George Lomax's house party.
Bill names the Air Minister, Sir Stanley Digby, the Steel Magnate, Sir Oswald Coote, the MP, Mrs. Makata, and crucially, a poisonous German chap who invents things named Herr Eberhard.
Bundle then demands to know about Seven Dials. Bill is extremely evasive, but finally admits it's the name of a smoky, slummy nightclub, rumored to have a gambling room.
Despite Bill's reluctance, Bundle drags him there. At the club, she recognizes the man guarding the gambling room, Alfred, the former second footman from her family home, Chimneys. He claims he left for a better job a month ago.
Chapter 12, Inquiries at Chimneys, opens with Bundle returning to the Coote's rented estate. She questions the butler, Treadwell, about Alfred's replacement, the new footman named John.
John is said to have excellent references from Lord Mountverton, who is conveniently out of the country. Bundle notices John's soldierly bearing and asks how his last name Bauer is spelled B-A-U-E-R. She immediately suspects he is not Swiss, as claimed, but German.
Realizing the Air Minister and the steel magnate, Sir Oswald Coote, might be involved in something related to the inventing German, Herr Eberhard, Bundle takes action.
She cleverly manipulates her fiercely political Aunt Marcia, the Marchioness of Caterham, into securing her an invitation to the highly anticipated house party at the Abbey.
Bundle rings Jimmy Thesiger to tell him the news, but makes sure to keep him from telling Lorraine Wade. Jimmy says he needs to study up on politics, but Bundle knows he's lying.
That night, after calling off with Jimmy, Bundle changes into her maid's clothes and heads back out, deciding the best place to find answers isn't at a fancy party, but back at the Seven Dials Club.
The plot is thickening. Now join us as we explore chapters 13 and 14 of Agatha Christie's The Seven Dials Mystery.
If you are enjoying our presentation and would like to keep up with the story, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you'll know when we drop a new episode. Now, on with the story.
Chapter 13, The Seven Dials Club.
Bundle reached 14 Hunstanton Street about 6 p.m. At that hour, as she rightly judged, the Seven Dials Club was a dead spot. Bundle's aim was a simple one. She intended to get hold of the ex-footman Alfred. She was convinced that once she got hold of him, the rest would be easy. Bundle had a simple autocratic method of dealing with retainers. It seldom failed, and she saw no reason why it should fail now. The only thing of which she was not certain was how many people inhabited the club premises. Naturally, she wished to disclose her presence to as few people as possible. While she was hesitating as to her best line of attack, the problem was solved for her in a singularly easy fashion. The door of number 14 opened, and Alfred himself came out.
Good afternoon, Alfred, said Bundle pleasantly.
Alfred jumped. "Oh, good afternoon, your ladyship. I didn't recognize your ladyship just for a moment."
Paying a tribute in her own mind to her maid's clothing, Bundle proceeded to business. I want a few words with you, Alfred. Where shall we go?
Well, really, milady, I don't know. It's not what you might call a nice part round here. I don't know, I'm sure.
Bundle cut him short. Who's in the club?
No one at present, milady.
Then we'll go in there.
Alfred produced a key and opened the door. Bundle passed in. Alfred, troubled and sheepish, followed her. Bundle sat down and looked straight at the uncomfortable Alfred.
I suppose you know, she said crisply, that what you're doing here is dead against the law?
Alfred shifted uncomfortably from one foot to the other. It's true, as we've been raided twice, he admitted, but nothing compromising was found, owing to the neatness of Mr. Moskowski's arrangements.
I'm not talking of the gambling only, said Bundle. There's more than that, probably a great deal more than you know. I'm going to ask you a direct question, Alfred, and I should like the truth, please. How much were you paid for leaving Chimneys?
Alfred looked twice around the cornice as though seeking for inspirations, swallowed 3 or 4 times, and then took the inevitable course of a weak will opposed to a strong one. It was this way, your ladyship. Mr. Moskowski, he come with a party to visit Chimneys on one of his show days. Mr. Treadwell, he was indisposed like, and ingrowing toenails, as a matter of fact, so it fell to me to show the parties over. At the end of the tour, Mr. Moskowski, he stays behind the rest, and after giving me something handsome, he falls into conversation.
Yes, said Bundle encouragingly.
And the long and the short of it was, said Alfred with a sudden acceleration of his narrative, that he offers me £100 down to leave that instant minute and to look here after this club. He wanted someone, as was used to the best families, to give the place a tone, as he put it. And, well, it seemed flying in the face of Providence to refuse. So, let alone that, the wages I get here are just 3 times what they were as a second footman.
£100, said Bundle. That's a very large sum, Alfred. Did they say anything about who was to fill your place at Chimneys?
I demurred a bit, my lady, about leaving at once. As I pointed out, it wasn't usual and might cause inconvenience. But Mr. Moskowski, he knew of a young chap, been in good service and ready to come any minute. So I mentioned his name to Mr. Treadwell, and everything was settled pleasant-like.
Bundle nodded. Her own suspicions had been correct, and the modus operandi was much as she had thought it would be. She essayed a further inquiry. Who is Mr. Moskowski?
Gentleman as runs this club, Russian gentleman, a very clever gentleman, too.
Bundle abandoned the getting of information for the moment and proceeded to other matters. £100 is a very large sum of money, Alfred.
Larger than I ever handled, milady, said Alfred with a simple candor.
Did you never suspect that there was something wrong?
Wrong, milady?
Yes, I'm not talking about the gambling. I mean something far more serious. You don't want to be sent to penal servitude, do you, Alfred?
Oh, Lord, milady, you don't mean it.
I was at Scotland Yard the day before yesterday, said Bundle impressively. I heard some very curious things. I want you to help me, Alfred, and if you do, well, if things go wrong, I'll put in a good word for you.
Anything I could do. I shall only be too pleased, my lady. I mean, I would anyway.
Well, first, said Bundle, I want to go all over this place, from top to bottom.
Accompanied by a mystified and scared Alfred, she made a very thorough tour of inspection. Nothing struck her eye till she came to the gaming room. There she noticed an inconspicuous door in a corner, and the door was locked. Alfred explained readily. That's used as a getaway, your ladyship. There's a room and a door on it to a staircase that comes to the street level. That's the way the gentry goes when there's a raid.
But don't the police know about it?
It's a cunning door, you see, milady. Looks like a cupboard, that's all.
Bundle felt a rising excitement. I must get in here, she said.
Alfred shook his head. You can't, my lady. Mr. Moskowski, he has the key.
Well, said Bundle, there are other keys.
She perceived that the lock was a perfectly ordinary one, which probably could be easily unlocked by the key of one of the other doors. Alfred, rather troubled, was sent to collect likely specimens. The fourth that Bundle tried fitted. She turned it, opened the door, and passed through. She found herself in a small, dingy apartment. A long table occupied the center of the room with chairs ranged about it. There was no other furniture in the room. Two built-in cupboards stood on either side of the fireplace. Alfred indicated the nearer one with a nod. "That's it," he explained.
Bundle tried the cupboard door, but it was locked, and she saw at once that this lock was a very different affair. It was of the patent kind that would only yield to its own key.
"Highly ingenious it is," explained Alfred. "It looks all right when opened. Shelves, you know, with a few ledgers and that on 'em. Nobody would ever suspect. But you touch the right spot, and the whole thing swings open."
Bundle had turned round and was surveying the room thoughtfully. The first thing she noticed was that the door by which they had entered was carefully fitted round the baize. It must be completely soundproof. Then her eyes wandered to the chairs. There were 7 of them, 3 each side and one rather more imposing in design at the head of the table. Bundle's eyes brightened. She had found what she was looking for. This, she felt sure, was the meeting place of the secret organization. The place was almost perfectly planned. It looked so innocent. You could reach it just by stepping through from the gaming room, or you could arrive there by the secret entrance. And any secrecy, any precautions were easily explained by the gaming going on in the next room. Idly, as these thoughts passed through her mind, she drew a finger across the marble of the mantelpiece. Alfred saw and misinterpreted the action.
"You won't find no dirt, not to speak of," he said. "Mr. Mazurovsky, he ordered the place to be swept out this morning, and I did it while he waited."
"Oh," said Bundle, thinking very hard. "This morning, eh?"
"Has to be done sometimes," said Alfred. "Though the room's never what you might call used."
Next minute, he received the shock. "Alfred," said Bundle, "you've got to find me a place in this room where I can hide."
Alfred looked at her in dismay. "But it's impossible, m'lady. You'll get me into trouble and I'll lose my job."
"You'll lose it anyway when you go to prison," said Bundle unkindly. "But as a matter of fact, you needn't worry. Nobody will know anything about it."
"And there ain't no place," wailed Alfred. "Look around for yourself, your ladyship, if you don't believe me."
Bundle was forced to admit that there was something in his argument, but she had the true spirit of one undertaking adventures. "Nonsense," she said with determination. "There has got to be a place."
"But there ain't one," wailed Alfred.
Never had a room shown itself more unpropitious for concealment. Dingy blinds were drawn down over the dirty window panes, and there were no curtains. The windowsill outside, which Bundle examined, was about 4 inches wide. Inside the room there were the table, the chairs, and the cupboards. The second cupboard had a key in the lock. Bundle went across and pulled it open. Inside were shelves covered with an odd assortment of glasses and crockery.
"Surplus stuff as we don't use," explained Alfred. "You can see for yourself, m'lady. There's no place that a cat could hide."
But Bundle was examining the shelves. "Flimsy work," she said. "Now then, Alfred, have you got a cupboard downstairs where you could shove all this glass? You have? Good. Then get a tray and start to carry it down at once. Hurry, there's no time to lose."
"You can't, m'lady, and it's getting late, too. The cooks will be here any minute now."
"Mr. Mosgo Whatnot doesn't come till later, I suppose?"
"He's never here much before midnight. But oh, m'lady."
"Don't talk so much, Alfred," said Bundle. "Get that tray. If you stay here arguing, you will get into trouble."
Doing what is familiarly known as wringing his hands, Alfred departed. Presently he returned with a tray, and having by now realized that his protests were useless, he worked with a nervous energy quite surprising. As Bundle had seen, the shelves were easily detachable. She took them down, ranged them upright against the wall, and then stepped in.
She remarked. Pretty narrow. It's going to be a tight fit. Shut the door on me carefully, Alfred. That's right. Yes, it can be done. Now I want a gimlet.
Gimlet, milady?
That's what I said.
I don't know.
Nonsense. You must have a gimlet. Perhaps you've got an auger as well. If you haven't got what I want, you'll have to go out and buy it, so you'd better try hard to find the right thing.
Alfred departed and returned presently with quite a creditable assortment of tools. Bundle seized what she wanted and proceeded swiftly and efficiently to bore a small hole at the level of her right eye. She did this from the outside so that it should be less noticeable, and she dared not make it too large lest it should attract attention.
There, that'll do, she remarked at last.
Oh, but my lady.
Yes?
They'll find you. If they should open the door.
They won't open the door, said Bundle, because you are going to lock it and take the key away.
And if by chance Mr. Moskarovsky should ask for the key?
Tell him it's lost, said Bundle briskly, but nobody's going to worry about this cupboard. It's only here to attract attention from the other one and make a pair. Go on, Alfred. Someone might come at any time. Lock me in and take the key. Come and let me out when everyone's gone.
You'll be taken bad, my lady. You'll faint.
I never faint, said Bundle, but you might as well get me a cocktail. I shall certainly need it. Then lock the door of the room again, don't forget, and take all the door keys back to their proper doors. And, Alfred, don't be too much of a rabbit. Remember, if anything goes wrong, I'll see you through. And that's all, said Bundle to herself when, having served the cocktail, Alfred had finally departed.
She was not nervous lest Alfred's nerve should fail and he should give her away. She knew that his sense of self-preservation was far too strong for that. His training alone helped him to conceal private emotions beneath the mask of the well-trained servant. Only one thing worried Bundle. The interpretation she had chosen to put upon the cleaning of the room that morning might be all wrong. And if so, Bundle sighed in the narrow confines of the cupboard. The prospect of spending long hours in it for nothing was not attractive.
Chapter 14. The Meeting of the Seven Dials.
It would be as well to pass over the sufferings of the next 4 hours as quickly as possible. Bundle found her position extremely cramped. She had judged that the meeting, if meeting there was to be, would take place at time when the club was in full swing, somewhere probably between the hours of midnight and 2 a.m. She was just deciding that it must be at least 6 o'clock in the morning when a welcome sound came to her ears. The sound of the unlocking of a door. In another minute, the electric light was switched on. The hum of voices, which had come to her for a minute or two, rather like the far-off roar of sea waves, ceased as suddenly as it had begun, and Bundle heard the sound of a bolt being shot. Clearly, someone had come from the gaming room next door, and she paid tribute to the thoroughness with which the communicating door had been rendered soundproof.
In another minute, the intruder came into her line of vision, a line of vision that was necessarily somewhat incomplete, but which yet answered its purpose. A tall man, broad-shouldered and powerful-looking, with a long black beard. Bundle remembered having seen him sitting at one of the baccarat tables on the preceding night. This, then, was Alfred's mysterious Russian gentleman, the proprietor of the club, the sinister Mr. Moskarovsky. Bundle's heart beat faster with excitement. So little did she resemble her father that at this minute she fairly gloried in the extreme discomfort of her position.
The Russian remained for some minutes standing by the table, stroking his beard. Then he drew a watch from his pocket and glanced at the time. Nodding his head as though satisfied, He again thrust his hand into his pocket, and pulling out something that Bundle could not see, he moved out of her line of vision. When he reappeared again, she could hardly help giving a gasp of surprise. His face was now covered by a mask, but hardly a mask in the conventional sense. It was not shaped to the face. It was a mere piece of material hanging in the front of his features like a curtain, in which two slits were pierced for the eyes. In shape, it was round, and on it was the representation of a clock face, with the hands pointing to 6 o'clock.
"The 7 dials," said Bundle to herself.
And at that minute there came a new sound, 7 muffled taps. Moskowski strode across to where Bundle knew was the other cupboard door. She heard a sharp click, and then the sound of greetings in a foreign tongue. Presently she had a view of the newcomers. They also wore clock masks, but in their case the hands were in different positions, 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock respectively. Both men were in evening dress, but with a difference. One was an elegant, slender young man wearing evening clothes of exquisite cut. The grace with which he moved was foreign rather than English. The other man could be better described as wiry and lean. His clothes fitted him sufficiently well, but no more, and Bundle guessed at his nationality even before she heard his voice. "I reckon we're the first to arrive at this little meeting."
A full, pleasant voice with a slight American drawl and an inflection of Irish behind it. The elegant young man said in good but slightly stilted English,
"I had much difficulty in getting away tonight. These things do not always arrange themselves fortunately. I am not, like number 4 here, my own master."
Bundle tried to guess at his nationality. Until he spoke, she had thought he might be French, but the accent was not a French one. He might possibly, she thought, be an Austrian, or a Hungarian, or even a Russian.
The American moved to the other side of the table, and Bundle heard a chair being pulled out. "1 o'clock's being a great success," he said. "I congratulate you on taking the risk." 5 o'clock shrugged his shoulders. "Unless one takes risks." He left the sentence unfinished.
Again, 7 taps sounded, and Moskowski moved across to the secret door. She failed to catch anything definite for some moments since the whole company were out of sight, but presently she heard the bearded Russian's voice upraised.
"Shall we begin proceedings?" He himself came around the table and took the seat next to the armchair at the top. Sitting thus, he was directly facing Bundle's cupboard. The elegant 5 o'clock took the place next to him. The third chair that side was out of Bundle's sight, but the American, number 4, moved into her line of vision for a moment or two before he sat down. On the near side of the table also, only 2 chairs were visible, and as she watched, a hand turned the second, really the middle chair, down, and then with a swift movement, one of the newcomers brushed past the cupboard and took the chair opposite Moskowski. Whoever sat there had, of course, their back directly turned to Bundle, and it was at that back that Bundle was staring with a good deal of interest, for it was a back of a singularly beautiful woman, very much décolletée.
"So are we not to see number 7 tonight?" she said. "Tell me, my friends, shall we ever see him?"
"That's darn good," said the American. "Darn good. As for 7 o'clock, I'm beginning to believe there is no such person." "I should not advise you to think that, my friend," said the Russian pleasantly.
There was a silence. Rather an uncomfortable silence, Bundle felt. She was still staring as though fascinated at the beautiful bag in front of her. There was a tiny black mole just below the right shoulder blade that enhanced the whiteness of the skin. Bundle felt that at last the term beautiful adventuress, so often read, had a real meaning for her. She was quite certain that this woman had a beautiful face, a dark Slavonic face with passionate eyes. She was recalled from her imaginings by the voice of the Russian, who seemed to act as master of ceremonies.
Shall we get on with our business? First, to our absent comrade, number 2. He made a curious gesture with his hand towards the turned-down chair next to the woman, whom everyone present imitated, turning to the chair as they did so. I wish number 2 were here with us tonight, he continued. There are many things to be done. Unsuspected difficulties have arisen. Have you the report? As yet, I have nothing from him. There was a pause. I cannot understand it. You think it may have gone astray? That is a possibility. In other words, said 5 o'clock softly, there is danger. He spoke the word delicately and yet with relish. Yes, there's danger. Too much is getting known about us, about this place. I know of several people who suspect, he added coldly. They must be silenced.
Bundle felt a little cold shiver pass down her spine. If she were to be found, would she be silenced? She was recalled suddenly to attention by a word.
So nothing has come to light about Chimneys? Moskarovsky shook his head. Nothing. I agree with Ana. Where's our president? No, number 7. He who called us into being. Why do we never see him? Number 7, said the Russian, has his own ways of working. So you always say. I will say more, said Moskarovsky. I pity the man, or woman, who comes up against him.
There was an awkward silence.
We must get on with our business, said Moskarovsky quietly. Number 3, you have the plans of Wyvern Abbey?
Bundle strained her ears. So far, she had neither caught a glimpse of number 3, nor had she heard his voice. She heard it now and recognized it as unmistakable. Low, pleasant, indistinct, the voice of a well-bred Englishman.
I've got them here, sir.
Some papers were shoved across the table. Everyone bent forward. Presently, Moskarovsky raised his head again.
And the list of guests? Here. The Russian read them. Sir Stanley Digby, Mr. Terence O'Rourke, Sir Oswald and Lady Coote, Mr. Bateman, Countess Anna Radsky, Mrs. McAdda, Mr. James Thesiger. He paused and then quickly added sharply, Who is Mr. James Thesiger? I guess you needn't worry anything about him. The usual complete young ass.
The Russian continued reading.
Herr Eberhard and Mr. Eversley. Well, that completes the list.
Does it? Said Bundle silently. What about that sweet girl, Lady Eileen Brent?
Yes, there seems nothing to worry about then, said Moskarovsky. He looked across the table. I suppose there's no doubt whatever about the value of Eberhard's invention. 3 o'clock made a laconic British reply. None whatsoever. Commercially, it should be worth millions, said the Russian. And internationally, well, one knows only too well the greed of nations.
Bundle had an idea that behind his mask he was smiling unpleasantly.
Yes, he went on, it's a gold mine. Worth, well, a few lives, said number 5 cynically, and laughed. But you know what inventions are, said the American. Sometimes these damn things just don't work. A man like Sir Oswald Coote will have made no mistake, said Moskorowski. Speaking as an aviator myself, said number 5, the thing is perfectly feasible. It has been discussed for years, but it needed the genius of Eberhard to bring it to fruition. Well, said Moskorowski, I don't think we need to discuss matters any further. You have all seen the plans. I do not think our original scheme can be bettered. By the way, I hear something about a letter of Gerald Wade's that has been found. A letter that mentions this organization. Who found it? Lord Caterham's daughter, Lady Eileen Brent. Bowers should have been on that, said Moskorowski. It was careless of him. Who was the letter written to? His sister, I believe, said number 3. Unfortunate, said Moskorowski, but it cannot be helped. The inquest on Ronald Devereux is tomorrow. I suppose that has been arranged for? Reports as to the local lads have been practicing with rifles have been spread everywhere, said the American. That should be all right, then. I think there's nothing further to be said. I think we must all congratulate our dear number 1 o'clock and wish her luck in the part she has to play. Hurrah! Cried number 5. To Ana.
All hands flew out in the same gesture which Bundle had noticed before.
To Ana.
1 o'clock acknowledged the salutation with a typically foreign gesture. Then she rose to her feet and the others followed suit. For the first time, Bundle caught a glimpse of number 3 as he came to put Anna's cloak around her, a tall, heavily built man. Then the party filed out through the secret door. Moskorowski secured it after them. He waited a few moments, and then Bundle heard him unbolt the door and pass through, after extinguishing the electric light.
It was not until 2 hours later that a white and anxious Alfred came to release Bundle. She almost fell into his arms, and he had to hold her up.
Nothing, said Bundle. Just stiff, that's all. Here, let me sit down.
Oh, Gord, my lady, it's been awful.
Nonsense, said Bundle. It all went off splendidly. Don't get the wind up now it's all over. It might have gone wrong, but thank goodness it didn't.
Thank goodness, as you say, my lady. I've been in a twitter all evening. They're a funny crowd, you know.
A damned funny crowd, said Bundle, vigorously massaging her arms and legs. As a matter of fact, they're the sort of crowd I always imagined until only tonight existed in books. In this life, Alfred, one never stops learning.
Wow, Bundle sure has got up a head of steam in this chapter. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, she sure does. She starts off the chapter by heading to the Seven Dials Club to do some further investigation, and she's just wondering how she'll get in when she meets Alfred at the door. Really convenient. Bundle seems to walk all over him and commands him like he's still her footman.
And how? I guess he was afraid of, she threatened him and basically told him he was going to jail and everything. So what option did he have, right? Another thing I will say, due to this previous relationship, Alfred automatically caves. It just didn't take too long to, as you said, walk all over him.
Yeah.
He gives up all the information she asks for. He left Chimneys because he was promised a large sum of money. And you looked it up, and in mid-1920s, the value of £100 compared to today would be about 8,000 pounds or 10,000 US dollars. I can really see why Alfred left.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think I would too. But related to the club, of course, the owner, Mr. Moskorowski, knew just the chap to fill in for Alfred when he was taking him away from Chimneys. So
How
I
convenient.
I guess we can now confirm that the new footman, John Bower, is a plant. But the question is, did he help commit the crime? He sure has the opportunity and background for it.
Yeah, it just all seems very suspicious. So it's definitely part of it. So we'll keep an eye on that. Which brings us back to the matter at hand. Bundle knows there's something fishy about this place, and she isn't very subtle. See what I did there? When she implies that Alfred will be arrested simply for working in this joint. Since Bundle seems so buddy-buddy with Scotland Yard Superintendent Battle, she says she could work out a deal for him if, in exchange, he shows her the secret getaway route.
Yeah. And then this is where they find the adjacent room. There's hardly any furnishings except for a table with 7 chairs. That's exactly the right number. Bundle is convinced that this is the Seven Dials' meeting place, and so when she discovers that there's a cupboard behind which she can hide, she does just that and lies in wait for the members.
Yeah, I was surprised she did that. That's pretty dangerous. I'm wondering if she understood the danger that was involved.
Probably
We'll see where this leads to. But with that said, Bundle is successful, and she ends up silently attending the meeting while peeping through a pinhole she made in that piece of furniture just a few hours before. The members of the Seven Dials Club, except for number 2 and number 7, who were absent, have the list for George Lomax's party, and number 1 is on it. They've also conspired to spread rumors that Ronnie Devereaux's death was an accident, which we don't think it is. And the group is behind some dark things. Their power seems like they seem to be a very powerful group.
Yeah, they've really got their hands in a bunch of pies. It makes me wonder what Herr Eberhard, the one they really focused on, what he has invented, because it's got to be something related to planes. Someone said about aviation. And then also Sir Coot's steel manufacturing. We'll have to keep an eye on what they've got.
Yeah, I think the implication is that it's some kind of weapon. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it as the story goes along. Thanks for dropping by the Dragon's Den. Please join us next time when we bend a page and explore chapters 15 and 16 of The Seven Dials Mystery by Agatha Christie.